top 8 brackets.
Yeah, either win 5 games and continue, or win 4, win the tiebreaker, and continue to get into those final 8s. And looks like we're off. First chest and Sanctuary are being a key to the Tower of Hera. Very quickly, anything you want to see in Link's house?
We got a lamp. That's everything I want to see in Link's house all the time.
Yeah. Any runners who were really confident in their dark rooms and hoping to gain an edge there, unfortunately going to be out of luck. Any runners not so happy with dark rooms going to be having a great night tonight.
Absolutely. It definitely always gets rid of a bit of that stress. Even if you can do the dark rooms, it's just nice to have.
So pretty standard openings here. Truzzl taking the south route, Yoshi and Jet taking the north route with EpikRainjer hot on their heels. And was that first tree pull just a bunch of hearts? That's a bit unfortunate.
Absolutely. They're going to be hunting down bombs. Ooh, and the Hoarder with hearts too. No easy bombs so far in this seed.
Looks like Lumberjack tonight is going to be a big key. That's going to provide some anxiety for the runners. Hopefully it's that useless or next to useless Skull Woods one.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw Maze Game only had a tiny heart piece.
And a small key in the library. You know, that small key in the library plus the Lumberjack cave makes me think we might get some boots sooner rather than later.
And I think every runner, lantern aside, that's the next thing they want. Boots first.
Boots first, sword second, maybe lantern third.
Oh, looks like Truzzl is going to go grab some more bombs in the hidden bombable hut.
It's not hidden. I can see it right there.
Well, just the entrance then, I suppose.
It certainly is.
Ranger getting their lamp. Probably a sigh of relief.
Yeah, interesting play from Ranger here that I don't see a lot of runners do, but I kind of like it. He starts off on the north route, gets to the forest, doesn't have bombs yet, and doesn't have rupees yet, and says, I'm going to go and check escape now because I don't want to go into the village without bombs.
That is a pretty unique way to do it. I don't think I've seen that one myself before.
Meanwhile, Jet checking the well, gets some arrows, some rupees, some more rupees, but, no bombs.
Lots of rupees so far. Rupees in the bombable chicken hut.
And it looks like Uncle had a Turtle Rock small key, the first of 4. With the other escape key being for Cannon's Tower, that one probably less useful than Turtle Rock.
Absolutely. I mean, you still need a few, but you'd rather see other things first. The hidden bombable hut that's not so hidden is making, that's the play to make today, apparently.
Yeah, without a good source of bombs from somewhere else and, not a huge influx of rupees, it's the place to be going. Looks like Truzzl's going to be the first of our players to check in the Thieves' Hut.
Oh, I guess Jet didn't have enough bombs to go in there.
No, he didn't. So there's a Hera big key, a Power Glove, and not too much else that's great just yet. But I'm starting to think, maybe this seed's pointing us to Hera with a glove, a lamp, and that Hera big key so early.
Well, there's some money at least. If you didn't have enough for the bottle vendor, now you do. 100 rupees.
Oh yeah, that's the margin you need, no question.
It's always super tough when you have to leave the village without having talked to the bottle vendor. Ooh, that's a nice.
I think it's worthwhile that he did. What was that there?
That was the second pair of gloves already. So we already have access to the dark world, even though we don't have a pearl.
Yeah, earlier I was thinking, okay, if we get Mirror, they can do Hera. Now I'm thinking, how soon is that Moon Pearl coming? how quickly is someone going to be diving into the Dark World? Are they going to try to get some heart containers first, or are they just going to run for it?
It's always a really tough decision because there's so much open in the beginning of the game in that initial sphere 0, as they call it, that jumping into Dark World could be, a huge gamble that pays off, or just it leads to nothing.
That's right. I expect we're going to see everyone do the South Shore pretty quickly here, maybe restocking on bombs first, since they don't have a better weapon for that at the moment. But we'll see who the first one to finish up with this village area even is. At this point, it's looking like it might be Truzzl or Jet.
Yeah, I imagine Truzzl will head down there after they find the big key waiting at Aga for them. Or post Aga in the Lumberjack Cave.
Now, I just have to know, what is that big key? Does it matter? Is it for a pendant dungeon? Is it for Ganon's tower?
Ooh, it looks like Truzzl actually might be making the play to the back of Escape.
Oh yeah, of course. With Glove, or in his case, Mitts already, that's definitely the thing to do. We can see Jet's following suit.
Same with Yoshi, it looks like. Got an almost identical start.
Was that a silver arrows?
It was.
And a blue boomerang. But I think the exciting part here is the silvers so quickly into the seed. That could make for a really fun Vitreous fight to watch.
The silvers at the beginning, though, is super disappointing when you don't get Bo for a while. Just kind of sits blinking at you, going, hey, whenever you're ready, I'm here.
Yeah, I say that. It's really, really exciting to get those silvers and be able to use them on Vitreous. Then it turns out Bo's locked behind something like that, and you just get angry about everything.
Oh yeah, the worst is when you find the bow on Vitreous after you've got like a master sword.
Okay, so now we're seeing the cape come out. Cape always makes me suspicious in this game, especially in concert with the lantern.
It's true, you're another avenue into Aghanim's Tower. The good news is at least we have some Dark World access first, but without a Moon Pearl, it might be sitting on the ledge.
That's right. Well, Truzzl's made his way to Mini Moldarm Cave. Jet's close behind him. They're stuck with bombs at the moment to take out these enemies. Let's see what they can do.
So far, 2 for 2. Ooh, that one was coming at Jet hard. Do you see what I see? We've got 2 major things.
I see a lot of things out of that cave. I saw a castle tower key. I saw a moon pearl. I saw a sword. I also saw Yoshi doing a Houlihan room.
It's true, but at least, now with that sword and those boots that we found, we have Aga. And we have access to that big key afterwards.
Oh, there were boots in there, and I completely missed those.
It could be the big key to Hera. That would be a fun way to start, right?
What the big key to Hera? We have that already.
I thought we had the small key.
We have both, in fact.
Lovely. Well, then disregard what I was saying.
I mean, at this point, just kind of so many ways this seed could be taking the runners. I wonder who's going to say, yeah, I feel comfortable having to do Aga first, and is just going to gamble on that. We see Yoshi talking to Sahasrahla, figuring out that green pendant tonight is in Turtle Rock. That might be a sigh of relief from the runners.
Already able to check King's Tomb. But you're absolutely right. Now that we have the Moon Pearl, we do have Dark World access, so that does put off the idea of Aga just a little bit.
Well, but there's a second small key to Castle Tower in the King's Tomb, and, I just don't know what the best play in this case is. Do you go straight to the Dark World, despite being on 3 or 4 hearts and green mail? Or do you just say, yeah, I'm going to have to do Aga Tower in this seed. I accept that, and you go straight up the tower?
That's a good point. I guess you're just wasting time for something inevitable. Potentially inevitable, anyways. Do you hope for the hammer and the flippers at this point to be able to get across, and then you can delay that a bit longer as you see what else is going on, or?
Gosh, I think you do just what EpikRainjer is doing here, and Yoshi, you keep going to Eastern. Maybe don't rush it immediately, but certainly you plot for going there as soon as the opportunity presents itself. And yes, chat, they do have both keys to Castle Tower found already between the runners. In fact, some runners have both, like Jet.
Both keys found. They have the cape and they have a sword. We have a few pairs of things, actually. So we have the pair of keys. We got the pair of gloves found, and we got the pair of boots.
Wait, if the runners get boots twice, does that mean they can go 4 times as fast? Or twice as fast as normal boots?
I don't know. Is that how 2 times speed works?
It doesn't. It flat out doesn't work. Regardless, looks like Yoshi found the mushroom over in Eastern Palace. EpikRainjer probably going to do the same thing. And Truzzl just finds a Palace of Darkness key so far.
So that's, I guess, a benefit to going to Aga, the 1 Palace of Darkness key.
Potentially, yeah. We could be seeing, that situation where you need Aga access, or you need to beat Aga to get to East Dark World, and you need the mitts to get to West Dark World at the same time, and you need some crossover in the items there. That would not surprise me in the slightest.
Truzzl and Jet are thinking very similar so far. They both skipped Uncle until they had a weapon to be able to do it at the same time as the escape.
Yeah, we can see both these left-handed runners with the same set of items. Both the runners on the right with the same set of items on the same path. I'm just curious to see which play ends up really providing some progression at this point.
Ranger was 6 hearts at this point. That might be enough to, test the waters of Dark World.
That's right. He does still have to go south so he can get those boots and the Moon Pearl, but it's an option on the table. As Truzzle's going to head through Escape to the sewer chest.
Now, is the sewer chest key hidden somewhere within the logic?
The one small key there for the rest of the castle, yes, it is.
Good to know. Good to know.
And in fact, if I understand right, that key actually blocks access to the bottom of the castle dungeon, like where Jet is right now, because if you wanted, you could steal a key from the guards, do something really stupid, take it to the sewers, and then lock yourself out of the basement.
That makes a lot of sense.
But looks like it was nothing too important down there, just a heart container in Zelda's cell.
Zelda still had a heart container, but the sewer chest had a bee.
Yes, that is, almost vital. I'll be curious to see if these runners put any priority on checking Sick Kid, especially when they have so much of the world open to them. It looks like Truzzl has 2 keys, has a sword, has lamp. He's just going to bite the bullet and do Aga Tower right now.
Well, we'll see if it pays off. I'm gonna guess that Jet is going to Dark World.
Well, it certainly looks that way.
Yep, we've got our first Dark World access. 15 minutes in, that's pretty quick.
Oh, and Truzzl opens the first 2 chests in the castle tower, sees its 2 bomb upgrades, and says, I don't want to be here anymore. It looks like he's going to put off the Aga play in full until he's a bit more certain it needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully they didn't forget that there was a big key hidden behind the lumberjack. Jet finding more hearts in Skull Woods. Ranger getting their treasures in the mini Moldorm cave.
Yeah, and Yoshi's made his way down to the dam, so I think he'll be doing that mini Moldorm cave right away as well. Truzzl, the first runner to cash in that bottle for a piece of heart from Sick Kid.
I don't know if you caught that, but Ranger went to save and quit and went, oh, wait, no, I should go do the Ice Rock Cave while I'm here.
Especially with boots, yeah, you want to just get that out of the way while you're here.
Absolutely. I wonder if they're super excited to go into Dark World.
Now, Truzzl making that play into the library, getting that small key there. It's a second one for Dark Palace for him. That must be putting it on his mind.
Well, Ranger, maybe the Aga play. In the meantime, Truzzle following up Jet, going back and forth, and who's doing that step first?
Yeah, Jet has cleaned out the back of Swamp and didn't really come up with anything else. So we'll probably see him check Bumper Cave and then head down into the Village of Outcasts. Yoshi, meanwhile, gets that first sword from Mini Moldorm Cave.
Everyone with their boots now.
These runners understand we are in a race situation here, and there's one thing you have to do in a race. That's go fast.
So Jet just checked the Bumper Cave. Firelane, how quickly do you check the Bumper Cave ledge?
In Keysanity, I think you check the Bumper Cave ledge pretty dang early, just because there's such a chance that it could have something. And especially here, when you have the cape and you're able to get that item right now, going there early is definitely the play to make.
Oh, absolutely. The only thing you do miss out on is being able to check the graveyard ledge, but it's a minor time loss to have that information.
That's right, and I think it was just 20 rupees up on that ledge today.
That's correct.
So Jet'll be at least not worrying about that anymore. Truzzle's got to be careful here. He's a bit low on hearts. But he makes it into the second part of Skullwoods okay.
Yeah, that step between the first part and second part of Skullwoods is kind of terrifying when you're low on hearts and armor. It's a very costly death.
Speaking of Skullwoods, Jet just found the big key for Skullwoods in the front half of Thieves Town. A bit annoying because everyone wants to check Skullwoods first, and understandably so.
It's true. I can't imagine it going back just yet to get that Skullwoods big chest out of the way.
No, I imagine you go back there once you have Fire Rod, or at least the next time you've entered the Dark World.
Absolutely. Looks like Yoshi.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that Yoshi's finishing up their Light World stuff. I believe they're very close to the point of, having to check the Dark World.
I think that's right. So when I see that Skullwoods big key come out, I get worried. Not because, oh no, they might have to go to Skullwoods. I get worried because that makes one less irrelevant big key that could be at Lumberjack.
I guess the only one at this point is Swamp.
Or, maybe an unrequired pendant one. But you start to, as you collect more big keys, you're going to start going, Do I have to do Aga? Do I have to do Aga tonight?
The only time you want maps to know where you have to go is when there's something hiding just out of reach.
That's right. Worth pointing out, on Jet's way out of the village while we were talking about big keys, he did go into the chest game. He did get that Quake medallion.
Well, it doesn't serve a purpose, you know, other than getting you into a dungeon, maybe taking out a few enemies. It is one of those things that's just like, okay, good. Got a medallion. I hope for more. You know, you don't want your prevention into a dungeon stopped by a medallion.
No, you sure don't. Sure don't. Jet does a ton of digs, almost 30, if not the full 30, and only gets a compass for all of his trouble.
I guess, was that digging for the map to buried treasure?
If he'd come up with the map, maybe.
They kind of do the opposite in this game mode.
They definitely do.
We've got Yoshi with a play to Aga. Do you think Yoshi's going to go through with it?
You know, I don't want to make a call on that. I don't want to guess because I thought Truzzl was going to do it and he didn't. EpikRainjer went up over the first two chests and then noped out of there. So I don't want to say anything either way for Yoshi.
I've been burned before and I won't get burned again.
That's exactly right.
Oh, Hype Cave. Two maps, some powder, and a bomb.
Well, aside from the powder, that is a complete waste of a cave there for Jet. Unfortunately, he saves and quits out before he talks to the bomb vendors, so we're not going to find out about those 5-6 crystals.
That's definitely one of those things that, like, you don't think about unless you play Keysanity, you know, exclusively, because it doesn't really help in any of the other game modes.
No, it doesn't. Looks like Jet is going to go through the sewers, get that bee in a bottle, and we'll see what he does after he's acquired that. Meanwhile, Truzzl dug up that crap from the digging game, and he's picked up the smith.
Take the smith all the way to the disappointing cave.
Yeah, now, at this point, I think either the smith has to pay off, or the purple chest has to pay off, or we're looking at a seed where egg is your only option for progression.
It's true. We have the swamp key now, but we don't have a way in without the mirror. We don't have the flippers.
Now, there are two other things to consider.
Go on.
Well, the first is they have the moon pearl. They don't have the flippers, but they have the moon pearl, so they could fake flipper to the waterfall fairy. The second thing they could try to do, if they wanted, is go to Zora, which would require a lot of rupee farming at this point, but is still on the table and might let them skip Aga.
So, not to sidetrack, but Truzzl did check the bomb vendor. Tower Hair was one. I did miss the other. Did you happen to see that?
Unfortunately, I did not catch it. We will be kept in suspense for that.
Are you confident at this point in saying that Yoshi is doing the rest of Aga?
At this point, if Yoshi is not intending on doing the rest of Aga, he is in very much the wrong place. I think he's headed up the tower. I think he's going to stick with it. I think he has to be a bit careful about his health, but he's doing that with his boomerang strats. And he'll probably make it to the top, and we'll see just what the east part of Dark World holds.
Well, that's exciting. It looks like Jet is going up too. They've got both chests now, and they haven't saved quit, so...
That seems to be where they're going. Yoshi, unfortunately, taking that death to the right guards. We'll see if he makes another attempt at this tower. With only Fighter's Sword and this few hearts, it is a pain.
Oh, the saving quit. Just 10 arrows from the smith. You take them on a tour of the world, and all you get is some measly arrows.
Yeah, we'll see if Truzzl, he might be going to do the purple chest right now. In addition to that, I'm a bit saddened. You know, these runners found powder, and without the hammer, without the mirror, they can't actually do anything with it.
I don't think we've seen a play up to Death Mountain yet, have we?
We did see Jet run up that way. I think it was Jet. It was at least one of our runners that was up on the mountain and didn't come up with any progression. Truzzl, now checking the bumper cave, going to be disappointed with that 20 rupees. He's going to save and quit out of there.
We're getting close to very little left to do except be on the east side of the Dark World.
Yeah, and Truzzl has... Oh, Truzzl is headed to the eastern part of the Light World. This Hasbro play. Of course, I think Jet still has this open to him as well. Jet just has come to the conclusion, oh, you know what? This is an Agaseed. I'm going to have to do this tower no matter what.
I don't think we've seen the mushroom check from Yoshi either.
Now that is true. Mushroom, purple chest, Zora area, all still in play. All could potentially actually have what they needed and could have sent Jet on a bit of a detour here.
I don't think Jet has the money for Zora yet, so this is a better in-logic play.
That's right. I mean, I suppose he hasn't checked Agina's cave, and the best place to farm rupees is by the desert, but that process is so slow. Again, I'm not sure you want to do that when you're very likely to come into the money fairly soon in the seed anyways.
That's very true. You know, one or two chests away from being able to afford that. If you get lucky, of course. Ranger with the many, many digs.
And unfortunately, I did not count blue balls from Aga for Jet's fight, but he made it through unscathed, gets that full heal up from completing the dungeon, and on the pyramid, just a piece of heart.
I don't think Jet has much love for that item being there.
Absolutely not. Looks like he's going to head north, probably do Catfish, and we might then see him head down to Pod. Problem is, other runners have 2 keys. Jet's only sitting on 1 at the moment. So EpikRainjer on that South Dark World tour, carrying the Smith behind him. Yoshi doing the chest game, gets that Quake Medallion, and Truzzl going through Eastern Palace, gonna pick up that, or already picked up that mushroom, and aside from a heart container at the end, not gonna find anything else here.
Wow, Jet's just getting the heart pieces left and right.
The Dark World is full of love tonight.
Small amounts of love.
Very true. Looks like Swamp Palace was the other 5/6 crystal, in addition to the Tower of Heron we knew about so far.
Interesting. So as soon as we do get, you know, a couple of items, hookshot, the flippers, and the hammer, and the mirror, you know, we're a few items away. But at least we don't have to look for keys to be able to finish it.
That's right, we got that small key already. Jet's about to pick up a big key here, and for all we know, that could also be the Swamp Palace big key. We're going to have to see just how required this Aga Tower play was, or if this big key wasn't important for him.
Ice Palace.
Oh, that's fascinating.
we are a sequence break and a Bombos or Fire Rod away from Ice Palace.
That's right. And of course, you know, let's assume Ice Palace is a crystal, because the odds are going to say that it is at this point. That big key, required by the logic to finish the dungeon, if you can do your bomb jumps, it's not required at all. And so we might have that weird situation of logic wanted you to go beat Aga Tower, and in practice, there was no need to do that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see how it plays out, or even if, you know, the big chest has something in there, because that could be one of those things where it's, all right, I don't have the big key, but I can still beat the dungeon.
Oh, absolutely. If it turns out the other runners skip that key and Jet does find something in the big chest, that's a massive lead for him. This is one of those things. We see that big key and we just have to wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah, for those asking in chat, depending on if there's things in pod, Aga could be skippable, but that, I guess, also depends as well. You know, if we find the flippers, Aga might be skippable as well. Even, you know, prior to, even if something is in pod.
Yeah, and you know, there's still a few locations left to check. That Skullwood's big chest is still unchecked by these runners. It looks like Yoshi is on his way there right now. And Truzzle's making his way up the mountain, which I think Jet did earlier, but we don't think paid off at all.
No. First dip into pod with, you know, one key on Jet. No, two now. Looks like
two. That's right. To answer a great question in chat, how many items are in Logic in pod? I believe it's just 3 if you only have 2 keys. Obviously, the first chest on the left that requires no keys. Then the one in the dropdown, and the one in the big arena room on the bridge. Those 3 are all in Logic. And without more keys, the game assumes, of course, that you're as stupid as possible with your keys, that you're using them in the least effective places. It can't guarantee you're opening any other doors, but there's the mirror in Palace of Darkness. Jet able to warp to the door right away with that. That I would say is pretty huge.
It's true. That opens a lot beyond the ability to mirror back to the beginning of pod, which is very important. That gets us into Hera.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Tower of Hera. Now that they've got those keys, it's completely open. Was that a fire rod?
That was a fire rod. We have a fire source to beat Hera. Actually, we had the lamp, but we have more fire sources. Skull Woods is looking better and better.
That's right.
Ranger going through the
Cane of Samaria. What is going on in this Palace of Darkness? Who decided all the good items were going to go here tonight? At this point, that Aga play looking more and more important.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of value from Aga. Hopefully Ranger then follows that up with a trip into pod.
Yeah, Ranger's down to half a heart here. He's going to have to be very careful as he executes the top couple floors here. We can see him being nice and cautious around these guards.
Hopefully they know about the second heart on the left side.
And Jet's lining up that hammer yum so he can clear Dark Maze despite not having more keys at the moment.
That was a lovely hammer yum. So now anything at this point Jet finds is totally out of logic.
That's right, including, in fact, that Cane of Samaria was not technically available to him, although all he has to do is keep that in mind. Looks like Truzzle's about to trade in that purple chest. Unfortunately, I didn't catch what it was there.
A stutter at the perfect time. Well, we've now got a new opportunity to count the number of blue balls thrown by Aghanim as Jet bails out of pod.
And of course, he hasn't been to Eastern yet, so he's going to check this, get his mushroom. I'll be curious to see what Ranger does if he heads straight into pod as well, because, you know, that seems to be where all the value is right now.
Ooh, I didn't even realize Jet had never made it to Eastern, but finding the mirror that worked out quite well.
Yeah, there's almost no way that he knew that was going to happen, that he planned for that to work out. It's just one of those things. Sometimes your routing gets hit by serendipity.
Absolutely. But that's one of those things too. I mean, a lot of runners, newer runners, Jet is a seasoned Link to the Past randomizer runner. You have to adjust your strategy constantly as you get new items, as you can't just stick to one thing.
That's right. So EpikRainjer going through that fight. And Yoshi looks like headed back to Aga Tower, probably realizing at this point, hey, that's got to be where the play is. This will be, I think, his second attempt at the tower, but he's much more well-equipped now. I'm sure he can pull it off.
Absolutely. Significantly more hearts. I mean, lots more money. We did see a mushroom check, by the way, before. It was just 50 rupees.
All right, so EpikRainjer going to head up to Catfish first.
Which is smart. You can save and quit from there, and then run back up.
Yeah, and I do like this play. I think when you head up here, you're just really hoping you're going to find a Palace of Darkness key to supplement your play there. Especially in Ranger's case, where I think he only has the one key right now.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. So they won't be able to get the fire rod. No, they'll be able to get the fire rod. They won't be able to get anything else.
That's right. No Cane of Samaria at the moment.
But without a flute or a hammer, that's not the most useful thing.
That's very correct. So, looks like Yoshi and Truzzl both headed up the tower at this point. Jet finally making his way over to Sahasrahla, doing that in a different order than we usually see from runners, but of course, that's how his routing's worked out here. EpikRainjer going to enter the Dark World and make that pod play, I expect.
Yeah, absolutely. That red cane being found so early, and Turtle Rock being a green pendant dungeon. There's a lot of things mixed around a lot of ways in Keysanity. That Turtle Rock might be an early play.
And just to update you briefly on the top half of the race, those runners are just having a couple technical difficulties on their end. We're going to work with them to get that restored as soon as possible. But not to worry, because there's tons of fun stuff going on the bottom. EpikRainjer's headed into pod. He's about to get his mirror and his fire rod. And it looks like Jet's going to put that fire rod to good use. And going to head back into Skull Woods.
There's a great use of the Quick Medallion when you've only got a fighter sword.
And never mind, Jet is not headed to Skull Woods. He's going to make his way over to Graveyard Ledge first.
That's an interesting way of routing it. Is that one of those, I better do this now so I don't forget later plays, or...
Yeah, that's what I think it is in this case. You go, hey, hang on. If I don't do this right away, I'm going to think I've done it. And, you just can't leave locations unchecked like that, especially, of course, in Keysanity.
Ranger making the fall down. Ooh, wow.
Yeah, so hookshot in Graveyard Ledge Cave, that is a big play for Jet.
That opens up quite a bit.
Yeah, and again, we haven't seen the entire Light World cleared before doing Aga, but when I see Mirror leading to a hookshot and all the stuff that opens, I start to think, yeah, there's no way Aga wasn't required.
No way Agar wasn't required. That opens up, I mean, we could already do Hera at this point, but now we can get to Eastside Death Mountain and Dark Eastside Death Mountain because we have the gloves.
Exactly. And, hey, we got there by the hookshot. We can do hookshot cave.
Totally correct.
All right, so we got Truzzl and Yoshi back here. Looks like Yoshi's made his way all the way up the tower, and Truzzle's completed it already, headed into Palace of Darkness.
Ooh, Ranger's going up to Death Mountain now. Without having checked that graveyard ledge, that'll be slightly disappointing, I imagine, when they do find hookshot.
Yeah, there'll be a bit of backtrack involved in that.
But at least they'll have the save point, right?
That's right. Now, I expect we're going to see a save and quit from Jet once he clears out the Mothula area. One thing to keep in mind, of course, if you're in the Dark World and you have defeated Aghanim, a save and quit's going to put you back on the pyramid. And I know something a lot of runners fall victim to, including myself, is you just go, yeah, I want to save and quit, that'll be fine, and then you end up sitting in the Dark World. So we'll see if Jet and EpikRainjer, and in fact, all of our runners can avoid that tonight. Oh, Tracker correctly pointing out, that doesn't happen unless you've got the mirror. Fortunately, all of our Dark World runners do, or are about to have it.
This is true. It's been sort of linear. There's been a few funnels that people have had to get through in order to find any progression.
That's right, looks like we got a map check there. I'm seeing crystals at Skull Woods and Thieves Town.
And yeah, and we know about Swamp being one of the 5-6 ones.
That's right. Alright, so Jeth going through this moth fight with Fighter's Sword for the rest of it. This is not an easy fight to take on.
Ooh, a big key in the basement of Tower of Hera. To Eastern, no less.
I'm not sure how I feel about finding that one.
That one's tough. Do you go back in before you have the bow? What if it has the bow?
You wait a while. Well, Jet just found the flippers after a very nice Mothula fight. So that might send him up to Zora area. Certainly it puts Ice Palace in play for him. And it really makes me think, unless we find an unblocked hammer really soon, this was indeed an Aga required seed.
Ooh, Ranger just missing the block to be able to stand and have a nice little break, rest her hands. But using the cape grab onto the wall strategy instead.
It's got a similar effect. It's a nice play. I approve.
Absolutely. I wouldn't have thought to do it, to be honest. I just freak out and start trying to take out all the tiles before they take me out. The ingenuity of some of these players.
Alright, Jet back in the light world now. Starts on the mountain. Probably going to see him make the same Tower of Hera play EpikRainjer's made. But the basement is just $20.
Just $20. We can go up, though. There's still lots of room. Wow. Looks like Jet's going into the East Death Mountain first. There is a higher density of items. I guess you're hoping to find a hammer or something like that to be able to bring you around.
Or, just hoping to find a hammer so you don't have to fight Voldorm with the Fighter's Sword. Doable, but not a fun 6 hits.
The first 5 are okay. It's the last one.
It's that last one that really, really makes you hate him.
Another Dark Palace key.
I think that brings the total to 3 so far. There's half magic for Jet in Paradox Cave.
Hammer away from being able to do the Spike Cave then.
That's right. Actually, you know what? I think Jet's got a green potion already. So already just hammer away. Regardless, that's a big key for Thieves Town, which unlocks another crystal.
Unlocks another crystal, and it unlocks 2 more chests. We're still missing the hammer for that basement chest, but that's... Do you take the risk?
I think you do. You don't have the small key anyways. There could be something useful there. Besides, it's a crystal. You're going to have to clear it eventually.
You're right. You're right. Yep. Do what you can as far as crystals go. Still positive progress.
Alright, so EpikRainjer, doing that Moldorm fight, with Fighter's Sword, of course, takes 6 hits, whether they be pokes, slashes, spins, doesn't matter. 6 hits to take down Moldorm here. And he gets it.
It was a pretty nice fight. Using the invincibility of the boots just to be able to run through and get that final hit.
Yeah, well done. So that's a small key for Misery Mire, but more importantly for him, that's his first crystal.
45 minutes in, almost 46. It's kind of a tough... It's a tough amount of time to get your first crystal at.
Yeah, for Keysanity, I'm not going to complain at finding it at that speed. Looks like Jet has picked up the shovel and the red boomerang in Hookshot Cave area. Plus,
Another key to... Wow.
I think that's 4 now between the runners once Jet makes his way over to Hera.
That is 4. When you have hammer, or I guess when you can do the hammer jump and the bow, that's... I believe that's all you need. Provided you haven't opened the front door, which Jet had to.
Right. More importantly, 4 keys is going to put all that back area in play logically, not just for him, but for EpikRainjer if he gets that key, and for anyone else that ends up in that area.
Did you see what the medallion for Turtle Rock was?
It was Quake. They have that already.
I'm surprised Jet isn't at least opening it.
He does not have the hammer. And he forgot about that for a second as well, it looked like, because he mirrored to the light world and then said, hang on, I'm missing something here.
You are absolutely correct.
Personally, I find the best way to remember that I'm not carrying the hammer is, in fact, to try to open the Turtle Rock portal and realize I don't have the hammer.
That you know what? I think Jet agrees with you. That was Jet's strategy as well. So we had a small piece of heart in the Skullwoods big chest. I know we were talking about that before. There's been a few of those in annoying places, I would say. Places where you hope to find something. You've gone like, oh, I've been waiting for this check for... Oh, no, it's nothing.
On the one hand, it's annoying. On the other hand, it's very relieving to find that out because, you know, you don't know what your other racer's been doing. You find out that the chest you've had available for 20 minutes had a great item in it, and then you'd start worrying, oh gosh, how far am I behind right now?
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess, you know, any item you find in an obvious place is almost, not obvious, but available place is it's kind of a double-edged sword.
That's very true. Now, our trackers are doing a fantastic job on the top half especially. Because they've updated that Truzzl has the Master Sword, and I didn't see that happen. I'm really curious where he came across that. Could have been in the purple chest, maybe.
That's a good point. Very well could be, and that's one of those places too where the runners have the mirror now, but they've gone through the rest of Kakariko. I can't expect them to do that anytime soon.
Well, if we see them routed in, it might be with mirror, or sorry, with the powder check on the magic bats. They can pick up that chest, use the mirror to get into the bat cave, and who knows? Maybe the hammer is even behind the magic bat.
That would be kind of mean. That's on the level of like Meyer locking away the bow. Yeah, I didn't need it to get here, but you couldn't have helped me out just a little?
I should be nicer to these runners and talking about the things we might see. They're good people. I want to see them happy. I want to see them successful.
Another example of that was pointed out by chat. Titan mitts in King's Tomb.
Fortunately, we've avoided that tonight, although it's definitely something I've seen at least once in this tournament. Oh, Jet with a nice clean Moldorm fight so far, and avoids falling off the ledge, gets that 6th hit in. That's going to be a 2nd crystal for him as EpikRainjer takes a death to Mothula. Doesn't quite get that 2nd one.
Oh, and Epic doesn't have half magic either, so that's doubly difficult. It's just, you know, a few shots with Fire Rod, and then you're left to your sword. I suppose now is the time for Spiral Cave.
I suppose so. There's never a great time to do it, but hey, now's the best time for it. Yoshi's going to give us the check in Agino's cave. That could be the Master Sword spot as well. At this point, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have hammer.
That would be very big if it did.
Oh, but it is a big key to pod, which I think Truzzl picked up earlier as well.
We've avoided a major crisis on Jet's screen. We've found the big key to Ganon's Tower.
In Spiral Cave, what a place for it to be hiding. Looks like EpikRainjer missed doing that because, of course, he hasn't been to East Death Mountain yet.
Ooh, the single arrow in Lake Hylia.
All right, so Jet now going to give us the hobo check, not having to do the fake flippers because he got those flippers from, I think it was Mothula. And then we'll probably see him do that Zora check that we've been wondering about for a while.
Ranger with the... This is the 3rd try now.
All right, Ranger, I believe in you. You can do this. Oh, and it looks like Truzzl has beaten everyone to Ice Palace. He's gone in there first with the Fire Rod that he must have gotten from Pod. Waterfall Cave with just arrows and a bomb upgrade.
Good thing for the lack of sequence break then.
Meanwhile, EpikRainjer taking on Mothula here with Fighter's Sword, getting some good hits in with the Fire Rod. Dodging those spikes well. He might be onto something here. This is, of course, a very challenging fight when you're running only on Fighter's Sword. Zora just full of money. I didn't see what was on the ledge, but Jet's saving and quitting out of there, so it can't have been anything good. EpikRainjer, unfortunately, taking that death to the Moth.
Ooh, at this point, you've invested so much time. What do you do? Do you go in again with the salt? It looks like yes.
Yeah, it's a very good point. You know, at some point, do you have to back off, kind of cool down, say, hang on, I can't do Mothula right now. But it looks like EpikRainjer is still up for this fight, and good for him because he's going to need those flippers.
Absolutely. And chat pointing out it was just a heart piece on Zora's ledge.
Ah, thanks, chat. You're swell. And
So-
meanwhile, Jet has a fairly clear path in front of him now that he's got the Thieves Town big key. He's
Ooh.
just going to clear this out and then head over to Ice Palace, I expect. He's got a lot of dungeons open to him and probably some fairly simple calls to make for the time being.
So we saw a big key on Truzzle's screen. We didn't see what the text was. But chat is calling out DP. The trackers. This is why they are the trackers.
This is why we appreciate them.
Ranger
looks
putting
like-
that,
Yeah, go ahead.
just putting that net to good use. Grabbing a fairy.
Yeah, I haven't seen how the rest of his fight's gone so far this time around, but that fairy might be making the difference for him in this fight. He's got to be careful here. It's down to 3 hearts again. But he's getting those hits in with the fighter sword. Moth's trying to go down. He is hitting Moth.
We have another small key to Misery Mire on Jet's side. In the room with the window
Oh.
in Thieves Town. I love the design of that Mega Man helmet, but I don't want to see it for Ranger anymore. I want them to beat Moth or to, move on to what's next. Got Truzzl coming out of Ice Palace. We'll have to wait and see if they grabbed a crystal or pendant from it.
And Jet's carrying that maiden around through Thieves Town. Gonna do that blind fight. Gonna be getting, I think, the 3rd crystal of the night for him.
The maiden, of course, in a lovely blue dress tonight.
Yeah, nice how those sprites work out. I'll be curious to see if EpikRainjer has the similar colored maiden when he gets there. Very clean blind fight from Jet. And the reward is a small key for Ice Palace. Could come in handy with routing that. I expect Jet's going to be headed there next anyways.
Yeah, so that will help quite a bit because that allows you to not have to go downstairs before checking the right side of Ice Palace. That's, well, 1 chest right now without the hammer.
That's the problem, yeah. But who knows? Maybe we'll see the hammer in there. In terms of other options, we do have Swamp Palace open. Without the hammer, it's only 2 chests, but more than a couple times, I've seen those 2 chests have something important. Oh, and EpikRainjer gets the win over Moth. With only 1 heart left, he pulls that off. He's slashing like crazy. He's not happy, but he's got the flippers.
Take a cool, relaxing swim in Lake Hylia to just unwind. We should find out soon if the purple chest was in fact containing a sword.
Yeah, it looks like Jet's going to run that over for us. But first, of course, the Batcave.
Powder in the vat. Na pod key.
I think that makes 5 total, which means since Jet pulled off that hammer yump, and he doesn't have the big key yet.
Doesn't have the bow either.
And no, of course not. Where did that big key for Palace of Darkness show up? Our top runners have it.
You know, I don't have that in my notes either.
I believe that was in Agina's cave, which Truzzl checked earlier, but we didn't see, and then we saw the result from Yoshi.
That is absolutely correct.
Oh, but the purple chest only having $20 today.
So we're still looking for our second sword. As far as we're concerned, anyways.
Yeah, EpikRainjer's headed back over to Pod. I'm not sure of his total key count for this dungeon, but certainly he's going to do Hammer Yump right now and pick up his Cane of Samaria. Shovel turns up a small key, but for Skull Woods, so kind of useless at this point.
One of the most frustrating keys to find. I'd say worse than Ganon's Tower, personally.
Yeah, Ganon's Tower key at least comes in handy if you end up having to search through the tower. That small key for Skull Woods at this point in the race, you're never going to touch that.
Filing, we have a hammer.
We have a hammer.
We have a hammer. It was in the Circle Flowers cave. Some of you might know it as Cave 45.
Well, that 100% confirms this was an Ega required seed for every runner, with both hammer and flippers locked behind Magic Mirror, or behind Palace of Darkness, I should say. And unfortunately, Jet doesn't have that hammer. He's going to dive into Ice Palace.
No, Jet didn't check it with when they had the purple chest. They didn't walk it down. They saved it and quit.
Yeah, understandable, because it was a bit of a diversion there, but you know, that could give a big lead to Yoshi in this top race. Reminder, of course, that it's the top two racers against each other and the bottom two racers against each other there. So Yoshi and Jet, despite that comparison we just made, are not actively trying to beat each other.
It's true. That something like that, though, actually could help Ranger quite a bit. If they manage to find the hammer while Jet does a whole bunch of stuff, that'll make up some of that time lost to fighting Moth.
That's right. Truzzl made his way up to Hookshot Cave. He's only the second runner in this race, it looks like, to find the hookshot. So he'll be able to go to East Death Mountain with that, get his half magic, and I think there wasn't much else.
Just to answer the question in chat, why was AGA required? So there was no progression up until... Well, there was some progression, but none of it led further to the point where you had to use Aghanim's warp on the top of the pyramid to get to Pod, where you found the mirror. And mirror so far has led to hammer, hookshot, and fire rod was also in Pod, which allowed you to get flippers. So the ways that you could get to the Eastern Light world, or the Eastern Dark world, I mean, were all locked behind Aghanim.
Yeah, now there is a glitch you can do that involves reviving yourself with a fairy over Dark Lake Hylia, and that lets you bypass the flippers requirement. Of course, that I don't think was too attractive, even if our runners were able to pull that off, because there was that big key for Ice Palace sitting in the Lumberjack, taunting these runners, and I think everyone wanted to pick it up to some degree. Jet does have it, and in just a second here, we're going to see what it was for.
Nice Stalfos.
$300. So that big key, not really required in this case, though. We can see Jet didn't use the hammer jump, or the Ice Palace bomb jump. So he's going to take advantage of having that big key anyways. Looks like EpikRainjer might also be going into Ice Palace. Unfortunately, guys, don't go into Ice Palace yet. No EpikRainjer. That's right.
Good.
Don't go into Ice Palace yet. You don't have the hammer yet, and you need it from the circle of bushes by the Haunted Grove.
Hammer really is, well, I guess unless they find Flute, Hammer is the current thing that we know of that is going to progress things.
That's right. It'll get them into Swamp Palace, and if you're and it'll also, of course, let you clear out ice at this point.
Cut out for a second there, so I don't know if you mentioned it, but Turtle Rock as well as soon as you have Hammer.
Oh, yes. Turtle Rock. Always, a bit worrying to see that available, but always a tempting location. Especially when you have Fire Rod, especially when you already have, I think, 2 keys.
Jet is going on their way to get the Hammer. Probably will be kicking themselves a little.
That's right. Meanwhile, EpikRainjer, up in the Zora area, not going to find anything except a bit of money and that piece of heart on the ledge. Truzzl's up in Hookshot Cave, and Yoshi has made his way back to Palace of Darkness, finally going to get that Fire Rod.
So Jet has their Hammer. They're running as fast as they can. Back to what I assume is Ice Palace. Oh no. Never mind. Swamp.
We know Swamp is a crystal.
That would be the smarter play.
But if I'm reading this tracker right, Jet doesn't have the small key for Swamp Palace. Our top half runners picked it up. Or at least one runner tonight I know has picked it up.
Yeah, I can't remember. I thought it was Jet that grabbed it, but we will find out very, very soon. Yep, has the one key.
He has picked that up, so he'll be able to clear this all out except for maybe the big chest.
So Ranger making the same play Jet did before, going through ice, hoping for a Hammer.
I mean, on the one hand, it's a trap. On the other hand, Ice Palace, almost always a valuable place to be.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, EpikRainjer doesn't have that hookshot from Graveyard Ledge, so he has to take these penguins out with his fighter sword. You'd think in Ice Palace the Fire Rod should wreck those enemies, and it really doesn't. Hookshot's your best bet, but without that, you're stuck sorting until those things finally go down.
Good use of the powder. Always nice to have that. Now, Phylin, what is your favorite, specifically safety item in the game?
It's the magic powder. It has always been the magic powder, and I think it always will be.
I respect that. There's just so many uses. Ooh, key to Turtle Rock. We are getting up there for Turtle Rock keys.
Are we ever?
I think we're one away from being able to do Turtle Rock. In completion, minus the big key, of course.
Yeah, and, we've seen it multiple times this week. We've seen it throughout the whole tournament. That vanilla big key chest is just one that eats away at you in Turtle Rock. We'll have to see if any runner decides to go there without all the keys, or if they get a bit nervous and keep looking.
Absolutely. I guess if you're going up there without the big key and you have 3 keys, you might as well check, you know, the vanilla big key chest.
Very probably, yes.
Ranger with their Desert Palace key, big key now. Truzzl just coming out of the magic bat.
So EpikRainjer paused for a couple seconds there, and we got to see his menu, which I think is a really interesting menu for 70 minutes into a Keysanity seed. They've got 3 crystals already. Well, Jet's got 2 or 3. EpikRainjer's got 2, but could get a 3rd relatively quickly. And they've got all these small and big keys for dungeons, and they're just missing a ton of other items that they could use. No ice rod, and it may not be required. Only 1 medallion so far. No flute, no cane of Burna, no bow. There's a lot that this seed just hasn't shown us yet.
Again, funnels down into, nope, you need this item. In this case, it was, the first one was Aghanim, and so far the second one is the hammer. Kind of had these bubbles of, you know, openness and then back down to linearity.
Yeah, you know, that's a common theme I'm starting to see as this tournament goes on, and it really speaks to you know, some of the strangeness that happens in the routing in Keysanity, and ultimately it means that sometimes the winner of these races is the runner who can route everything the best, who can keep everything in mind, and when you're checking 90% of the locations, actually just whoever's the fastest to clear rooms.
We are so close to being able to beat Turtle Rock. I'm so excited. We have the ice rod now. It was
there it is.
One of the Swamp Palace with the value so far.
Meanwhile, on the top path, Truzzl's got that hammer and it's going to head back into Ice Palace. Yoshi is taking on the Mothula fight. Yoshi also has the Master Sword, so I'm not sure what our top runners are doing to find those extra swords that the bottom runners haven't. But it looks like Yoshi takes that death to Mothula, a common theme tonight, since that fight is so tricky, and, you know, we're still on low-powered swords for these racers.
Low-powered swords, no half magic for Yoshi. It's the diagonals with the half magic. You know, exciting, not tedious at all, is Fighter Sword Argus. Now, do you do spin strats, or do you do menuing?
I like what Jet's doing here, where he tries to bring out 2 puffs at a time sometimes, although he's not doing that anymore. He was bringing out 2 puffs at a time and trying to hammer both, save himself a couple of menu transitions. Either way, this is certainly the menu percent boss to fight tonight.
If anything's going to bring up your in-menu time, it will be this. It is nice to finally have a higher damage source than the Fighter Sword, though, at least.
Yeah, it takes a lot of hits to take out Argus with the hammer. It takes 4 hits total, but Jet nailed every single one of those. Just picked up his other one of the 5 and 6 crystals. I'm thinking we're going to see Pyramid Fairy now.
We very well could. It would be a good time to do it too. You're already here. You're already in the Dark World.
And he's pulling out the mirror and he's heading north. To me, that says he's going to head into the bomb vendor's hut, mirror out, and then walk up to the Dark World Castle portal. So let's see if that Pyramid Fairy has anything useful tonight.
Truzzl's back in Ice Palace now that they have their hammer. Yoshi's Moth fight, the second time, I believe, is going much better so far.
So one way I've had Moth described to me, oh, Yoshi gets it there.
Well done, Yoshi. Well done.
One way I've had the Moth fight described to me is that either he sits at the top, not trying to move, or then he picks a location and tries to move to that spot. And no matter what, the Moth is going to keep moving to that spot for several seconds. And so if he decides to move to the bottom, you can keep slashing with your sword. The Moth is going to keep moving south and keep moving into you. And when you're in fighter sword mode, that's what you have to look for, so that finally when he starts insisting that he's headed to the bottom, you can pick up 4 or 5 hits at once, and that's the way to really do damage.
That is a very good strategy and some knowledge that I did not know. So I don't think I saw anything overly significant in the Pyramid Fairy.
No, me neither, unfortunately.
At the same time as the Pyramid Fairy was being checked, we had a hookshot for Ranger. Hopefully they don't rush off to Death Mountain trying to do the east side.
Well, if he does, he'll come across the half magic upgrade, and that's not a wholly terrible thing for him to find, especially if he ends up heading sooner rather than later back into Ice Palace.
That's true, but they still need the hammer.
He does need that. My hope is that he's going to take this purple chest. He's going to do the South Dark World walk. It looks like he's going that way, and that'll give it to him. So, looks like Jet did find the flute. Maybe that was in the pyramid.
No, that was in Swamp.
That was in Swamp.
It wasn't. Swamp was very nice to the runners today.
Seems like I blinked and I missed that.
Keysanity moves fast.
Well, there's the hammer for EpikRainjer, but Jet is gonna head back to this dungeon with the hammer already, and probably, if this turns out to be a crystal, pick up his 5th of the night here.
EpikRainjer was playing a very dangerous game there with that purple chest. That was the I let go of the chest far too close to the portal. Potential to drop.
Yeah, one transition to the light world, the dark world, when you're not holding that chest directly, and poof, it's gone.
So Yoshi, now that they have the flippers, did not decide to go into Ice Palace with the hammer. They went up to Death Mountain. There is a chance now that they can dip into Turtle Rock. I know I've been pushing that. Green pendant, but if you're in it...
Exactly. I expect we'll see probably a Hera play first. Oh no, Yoshi's cleared out Hera already. We could be seeing a Turtle Rock play here, I agree. Hopefully Yoshi's done the Spiral Cave. Yoshi's got the GT Big Key.
I'm still looking forward to this second sword for our bottom runners.
A great mystery of Hyrule tonight. Where is the second sword? Oh, now speaking of Turtle Rock, Truzzl just picked up and Jet's about to pick up that Turtle Rock Big Key. That makes the second half of that dungeon accessible.
All of my dreams are coming true.
And Truzzl pauses for a moment as he's not certain what happened with that small key he picked up, then realizes, hang on, yeah, that's an Ice Palace key.
Please use that as encouragement to go to Ice Palace. I want to see people do, you know, things like Turtle Rock when it's a pendant. But I want them to have a good time doing it. Nobody has a good time with double dips.
Well, Ganon does. Just have to double dip again and gets to live a few minutes longer before his inevitable dies 4 times at the end of the night.
Yeah, and the real star of the show coming back to battle, everyone. The role of the antagonist is a tough one. Oh yeah, Yoshi doesn't have the hook shot yet.
Yeah, unfortunately, nothing in Hookshot Cave. Or maybe there was a chest or a key somewhere that paid off in Hookshot Cave, but Truzzl gets to use his Master Sword for this Cold Star fight. Jet wails away with the Fire Rod, and then he...
Ling will walk back to Gold Star.
And he doesn't want to mess around trying to do hammer hits or fighter sword spins. He's just going to refill his magic, clean up that Gold Star fight. Alas, Truzzl and Jet have only picked up pendants.
Truzzle actually died.
Oh no, Truzzl. That's probably okay. There wasn't a lot of value in beating Cold Star there.
No, it's true, but it's not one of those things you want to have to think about getting later.
It certainly isn't.
Especially when you never know whether a boss is going to have an item or not.
To the Misery Mire area. At this point, he's got the Desert Big Key. He's got no Misery Mire Big Key, so he can't clear up both these dungeons.
I think that looked like quick. I couldn't tell. It was very quick.
I wasn't sure either. There's a sword for Jet in the Mire Shed, making his second of the night.
Okay. So Tempered is out there somewhere already.
That's right, and just as soon as the other runners pick up another sword, or sorry, pick up their flute, they can make their way to Mire area and get that Tempered sword as well.
So we were at what, 5? So Jet found another pod key. That's 5 pod keys?
I believe between the runners, that is all 6 of them.
Excellent, excellent.
But I know you were hoping for this earlier. Look where Truzzl is. He has entered Turtle Rock. And we're going to see just how much of this dungeon he ends up going through.
Well, he has the big key. It's a few small keys. Missing one from Swamp, I believe. I don't think I remember Truzzle getting that one.
That sounds right. Oh, and Jet finds the big key to Misery Mire in Desert Palace, generating another dungeon that he can complete right now.
A very convenient place, too, because you just go back to Dark World.
Meanwhile, EpikRainjer's making his way through Swamp Palace. He's picked up that flute. He's picked up... or there's that flute for him to pick up. He's picked up the Ice Rod already. He is making progress here. A couple dungeons behind Jet, but certainly not out of this game. Especially if Jet ends up going back to some of the overworld spots Epik spent time on.
What are you hoping for from Lanmo?
Lanmo is a frustrating boss that is made significantly easier with the use of the bow and silver arrows. As a result, I'm hoping to find the bow as a drop from Lanmo.
That would be nice for Mire next.
Besides, with Fire Rod, especially with half magic, it's 2 hits per snake. Jet's going to do this here. This is not a challenging fight. Getting the 1 cycle, very nice. Truzzl has to be a bit careful in the Chain Chomp room. And I was just about to say that room sucks with green mail. There's blue mail.
And I totally missed the item from Lanmo at the same time.
Yeah, fortunately, that was a crystal drop for Jet, so getting closer and closer to having all our crystals here. Problem is, we still have no idea where that bow's hiding.
I think at this point, the bow is going to be required for sure, because we have 3 unknowns. We have 1 pendant and 2 crystals. No, yes. One of them has to be Eastern Palace or Pod. We need a bow before we get into Ganon's Tower.
That's right. That at least takes it out of the Ganon's Tower basement for the search space, but there's still a lot of ground to cover before they find it. Jet finally picking up that Palace of Darkness big key, finally making it to Agina's cave as EpikRainjer takes down Argus, picks up his 3rd crystal of the night.
First check of Mimic Cave now. I'm excited.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen any big plays out of Turtle Rock yet. We did see him steal the key and avoid. And of course, it is indeed Quake for Misery Myers, so all runners have access to both medallion locked dungeons.
So I guess that one that they did find very early was very,
in fact,
very
the only one they need.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, big chest with big money. A literal hoard of rupees.
Alright, Truzzl gets to the crystal roller room. He can get through this door because he stole that key earlier. Just a piece of heart from this room, although it looks like that was enough for a new heart container.
And more money for Jet. So Truzzle has 4 more chests in Total Rock. We know it can't be the Ice Rod. There still could be something big. It could still be the bow. Could be a book opening up 2 spots.
Yeah, but the odds of real value from Turtle Rock are starting to diminish. There's the Hyrule Castle small key we talked about earlier that isn't any good. Piece of heart. $20. And at the moment, we're not going to get to see what that other... Oh, it was a small key for Ice Palace. Nothing these runners wanted.
Wow, what a bow find. The Misery Mire and Desert Palace with a ton of the value.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, we have Ranger going in to check Turtle Rock. I believe that's go mode for Jet. Assuming, or maybe missing some keys, but item go mode.
You know, we've got the Mire big key, we've got the Eastern big key, we've got the Pod big key. Now that we've got the bow, it doesn't matter which of those dungeons actually have the crystals and pendants. Jet's got what he needs. And hey, we got that Ganon Tower big key.
So, approximately an hour and a half, we are in go mode.
Yeah, very quick play from Jet. We're going to see which of these other runners can catch up with him. Unfortunately for EpikRainjer, it doesn't look like this is going to be his night as he's making his way through Hookshot Cave now. Question is going to be on the top half of this race, who can come out ahead?
It all depends who goes to Desert Palace and Mire. That's the final place.
That's right. And if you're in chat and you missed where that bow was, the bow was hiding on that bridge to nowhere in the middle of Misery Mire. So the last place Jet checked before going to Vitreous did have that bow. He got to use those silver arrows, and that put him in go mode. So EpikRainjer's going through Turtle Rock. Unfortunately, we know this is not going to pay off for him. Just Turtle Rock not having any real items here except the blue mail. And looking over at Jet's tracker, he's still on green. That could be a huge issue for him.
Again, Jet is one of those experienced runners. I think that they will be able to do it. They might have a few problems, but that could play well in Ranger's favor.
Yeah, Ranger is going to get the blue mail from the Chain Chomp room here. And I shouldn't say that Jet or any of our runners can't pull it off, because there's... Where's my opponent sitting right now? You do start to wonder, how careful versus how risky do I have to be fighting Ganon?
Yeah, absolutely. An hour and 33 minutes in go mode, though, for Keysanity. You have to be feeling pretty good about things.
I imagine so, yeah.
It looks like Yoshi's going over to Turtle Rock now, too. Please, go to Mire. Go to Swamp, go to Mire.
Yeah, this is the real challenge, is that, you know, our top two runners can't access Mire yet. Truzzle's going to be getting that bow soon as he heads to the back of Swamp eventually, but, you know, Yoshi can't get to Mire until he goes into Swamp, and that's just not a super attractive play.
No, not at all. It looks like Mire 2 was one of the crystals, so this is a 50-50 shot of being the final crystal, unless there was a map check that I missed. Very well could be. I think we saw the map to Palace of Darkness.
Well, that may be why Jet's in here fighting Helmasaur. 17 hits he needs with this hammer. He's not even using that trick to extend his hitbox on the hammer. He's just running back and forth, dodging those fire...
And
Turtle Rock.
Yeah.
Just the bomb upgrade. So, Fantalis pointed out that
Yoshi still has not grabbed their hookshot.
Oh no, Yoshi. Yoshi, it's in the graveyard.
That is one of those places that is so easy just to, you know, put into the back of your mind, or, you know, not even think about it. Like, oh, it's one place. It's in the middle of nowhere. Especially when you have the gloves and the boots so early. You go and check everything else that you normally do in a routing. It's tough. It's a tough one to remember.
Wait, hang on. Hookshot is in the graveyard? On the ledge there?
Absolutely.
Dampe, what are you doing in this game? You're supposed to be an Ocarina of Time. All
We're
right,
about
so
to get her.
Jet is on his way up to Ganon's tower. What are we about to get?
We are about to get our second mimic check. Our second disappointing mimic cave check.
Yoshi having to do the long way through that torch room since, of course, missing hookshot, he can't do the speedrunner strat of dragging yourself to that torch and tanking yourself. And Jet, of course, on his way to Ganon's tower. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a game we like to play in most versions of Randomizer, where we type numbers into the chat at this point in the evening, but Jet's in go mode, so I mean, feel free to type numbers if you really want to. It's not going to do you any good.
Matt Never with the 47. That's a good solid guess.
To be clear, I didn't say you should specify a number between 1 and 22. I just said, if you feel like it tonight, type a number.
Ranger with their second sword upgrade, finally. It's a long time to play with a baby fighter sword. So we've got Jet going into Ganon's tower at 136.45 approximately.
And then accidentally fell off the ledge there instead of going into desert. Unfortunate play. He's going to, I think, do this loop around and try again. But that should put EpikRainjer on the path towards go mode.
Truzzl with a nice Argus fight. Yoshi getting all 4 fairies with that powder.
Nicely done, Yoshi. And so Truzzl taking out Vitreous there. That's going to be 3 crystals for him, with a few more available at this point. This is going to be potentially a close race between these two runners, as long as Yoshi can make it.
Shot at this point. It's still potentially a very close race.
Meanwhile, Jet is headed through the gauntlet. Your sword is not as powerful as you want it to be at this point. And Epik headed to the back of desert, going to be able to take out Lanmo, probably also with the Fire Rod, since he's got that half magic upgrade at this point. As Jet's just powering through this gauntlet, through one cane room, through the second cane room, both on one cycle, of course.
The cane rooms are some of the most fun rooms to learn, because no matter how a seed is going, if you get both of those cane rooms first try, it's just big smiles all around.
I agree, and particularly because I played this game casually for so many years, I would go through those rooms and use Ether or use just my sword beams to take out those guys. Once I started speedrunning and I learned about using the cane there, I just said, hey, now I feel powerful.
It's true. It's one of those, like, those strats that anyone can learn, but you just feel like, all right, I got this now. This game is mine now.
Exactly.
Ooh, we have the map Desert Palace.
That'll be super. Like Yoshi is headed to the graveyard, making the right play here. He's going to be able to pick up his hookshot really soon. As Jet opens that last chest before Moldorm 2, looking for mail and finding a small key for Ganon's tower.
Unnecessary, but well timed. So Ranger done with Landmo. We'll be going into Mire, I hope.
I expect so. He'll find that bow. And if he checks that bow chest first inside Mire, he will be, I think, put into go mode right away. Now, the problem on Ranger's side is he does not have a Palace of Darkness small key. I'm sorry, big key.
But they might find it very quickly. It is in Agana's tower. Or cave, I mean.
That's right, it is... For it. It looks like Yoshi's, now that he's got that hook shot, he's going to make the play onto Swamp Palace.
With the double to finish off Agana, too. Lovely tower by Jet. One hour, 42 minutes, 20 seconds. We have our first, well, out of Ganon's tower and into the pyramid.
You know, we usually say, if you can do 2 hours, that's good for Keysanity. If you can do sub 150, that's very good. Jet, depending on how well he does his Master Sword spins here, is looking at a potential, sub 145 play? Or in that range, which is just incredible. And looking at the other runners, he is just so far ahead. He's kind of made all the right calls, gone to all the right spots at the right times, and it has paid off for him.
A few very serendipitous plays, just being able to like find the mirror in pod and then mirror immediately to check Eastern Palace. And same thing with the Mire big key being in desert. Just some of them that just worked out so nicely together.
Ooh, only on green mail. Ganon does a lot of damage, so he does take a fall there. And without a fairy, he's going to have to restart this fight. He's not going to waste any time going to the bottom of the pyramid trying to bonk a tree for a fairy. He's going straight back in.
Jet must be worried about, Ranger being close.
Fortunately for him in this case, that is not a problem.
One of the downsides to dying to Ganon, of course, is that the pattern does change after you go in to fight Ganon a second time. So you can't even use what you learned from that first fight in where you're going to position yourself.
That's right.
Truzzl getting their Mire big key.
Yeah, so they'll be able to go to the back of Desert here, clear out Landmo. At this point, I think he's about a dungeon ahead of Yoshi. Yoshi, delayed a bit by not having that hook shot, but I think now on the right path to go finish this seed up.
Jet's not even going to chance it this time. Just pull out the cape, get your spins in, do what you got to do to get this done.
Well, that's what half magic is for, right?
Absolutely. And I believe there's a blue potion still. Or no, they already used it.
Meanwhile, Yoshi and Swamp Palace picking up that flute.
We have our first tempered sword of the game. That's nice. Over on Truzzl's side.
Yeah, and now I'm really curious. Where did those top two runners each find a sword? Because EpikRainjer, also running around Mire, got his Master Sword from this shed. Never found that second level sword.
Jet with the final hit. Official SRL time of 1 hour, 45 minutes, 56 seconds. Congratulations to Jet.
Yeah, GG and great work to him, winning, of course, not only his match, but beating out all 4 racers tonight. That's going to advance him to 3-0 so far in this tournament, putting him in a very competitive field where he clearly belongs to be in. Though, of course, that's not a slight against these other runners who are still putting up a great fight. And this top race, although it's not super, super close, still could go either way if Yoshi or Truzzl makes the right or wrong plays.
All right. And
oh, and we are joined by Jet082 tonight, the winner of this race. Jet, congratulations and well played on
Thank
this
you.
seed.
GG's. Oh man.
And I don't know if you've loaded up the main channel now. You can see that the other runners still running around Misery Mire, still trying to find that bow, or just picked it up.
Okay.
Do you? So you're several minutes ahead when this race finishes up. Do you think you did anything in particular that kind of set you on the right path early on?
Well, so I guess early on my thought was, okay, I saw the big key in Lumberjacks, and I'm like, well, there's a decent chance that's required. You don't really need it for Skullwoods and Swamp, and there's a chance that if you route it, you don't need it for Ice either. And I'm like, you need all the other big keys. So I'm like, you know what? If the game gives me everything we need to get it, it's probably required, and I should just do it. And then, of course, the game, like, right away, once I did, like, South Shore, it's like, here's all the stuff you need to do. Go beat Aghanim like crap. Because it's such an early decision point, and it's time consuming. It's like a good 4 minutes that you're sinking into it. And of course, once I found out, so I did that, and I'm like, I was about to do it, but then I got the heart upgrade and Zelda cell, and I'm like, you know what? Let me go save and quit. Let me check out some of Dark World, get some hearts, maybe Fire Rod or Hammer, something that can help me beat Aghanim's tower faster. Got nothing but hearts, which is fine, and then just decided to do Aghanim because the worth is.
You were the first runner to go and do that, and it certainly paid off. As then you, of course, were the first runner into Pod, where Pod seemed to have all the value tonight.
That was absolute progression. Mirren first chess. Fire Rod was, I think that was early. Like, that was in the middle, right? And then Kane was back, I think, in the Four Turtles chest, something like that. Either way, 3 required items. I'm like, this is great. All right, let's go do stuff now. But I did find out later on that Ice was not the play. Like, that Ice Palace big key was actually not what was required. But Aghanim was totally required. You needed Flippers and Hammer were behind Mirror.
Yep.
It's like this was actually required, even though Ice Palace itself was not.
Yeah, and certainly here and in chat, we had a lot of speculation going on about, Jet's the first one to go and do this, but he's leaving all these Light World spots open. Is this going to come back to bite him? And it turned out, especially when that hammer finally turned up, we said, okay, yeah, that was required in the most roundabout way I've seen in a long time, especially for Keysanity.
So I actually had a 50-50 choice, and I decided to do Magic Bat instead of doing South of the Grove. And then just later on when I'm starting to run out of things, I was actually just gonna go to Swamp because you could get 2 chests in Swamp without Hammer. I was routing my way there, and I'm like, let's check south of the Grove on the way. Oh, Hammer. All right, I'm gonna full clear Swamp now. This is great.
Yeah, you actually had a couple of those, one move leads directly into another in a very convenient location. You had the hammer right into Swamp. You had Mirror right into Eastern Palace because you didn't do that early.
Right.
And then you found the Mire Big Key in Desert. And were able
That
to just...
I wasn't expecting, and I'm like, okay, that works for me. I guess I can full clear Mire after this.
I don't think any of the Forerunners were expecting that to happen.
I guess there were a few things that paid off. I probably should have done the eastern area before Aghanim, just because there's like 6-7 things you can get over there. So I put it off just because I was dedicated to doing Aghanim, and I had a few other places to check, and I was really hoping to like get Bow and just be able to do that with everything else. And then when it came down to it, I just decided to do Pod because it was harder to get it out of the way. And then, honestly, if I didn't get Mirror and Pod, I was just going to do the eastern area right afterwards. I just got lucky that it was Mirror, and then I was able to just route it together.
Right. So, I'm looking at your tracker here at the items you had at the end of the seed. Fortunately, you found those early silvers. But you're also sitting on Greenmail and Master Sword.
Yes.
Execution's not a problem for you, but at the same time, did you have any worries that maybe you were a bit under-equipped, that you had missed something?
Honestly, just the death at Ganon, and that was really just a surprise. I wasn't looking at my health. I went in there with, I don't know, 10 hearts or something, and like 2 bats killed me, and I'm like, oh man. But other than that, for that, so that would really be the choice. And going up to Vitreous before Bow, it's like, all right, well, I have Master Sword, so I'm gonna do spins, and I was just gonna do Cape strats.
Cape and Half Magic works on Vitreous.
Oh yeah,
It's just that Silver Arrows works about 10 times better.
so overall wasn't too bad, and I feel like since I've gotten enough exposure thanks to open mode to doing fighter sword strats, maybe that helped since I had the experience with it. I've done it too many times with the seed. It just, it loves to troll you with swords, and it gave you an early sword and then a really late Master Sword.
Yeah, so the two runners in the other race, Truzzl and Yoshi, they picked up a Master Sword early on, and we're still not sure where that happened. But they're both on Tempered now.
Yeah, I want to know where that is. My first sword was, I think, Mini Moldorm Cave, and then the second one was over at a small key. So maybe there's something in that, but I don't think they've been there.
Yeah,
well, it looks like Truzzl's in there now, so that wouldn't be the location. I didn't miss much Overworld, I don't think.
No, what I can tell you is that there was a blue mail in the Chomp Room in Turtle Rock, and you were the only runner to never touch Turtle Rock in the slightest in this seed. Felix and I here were gunning for it, the runners were gunning for it, and I think that contributed to your lead here, was you just never had the chance to go check it and ultimately lose time there.
I was ready after Meyer. When I was still looking for Bow, I'm like, well, next place is Turtle Rock. There's too many things for me to get. I was ready to go in there the first time I went to Dark Death Mountain, and then I forgot I needed Hammer. So I'm like, I don't know if you were paying attention to me at the time.
Oh, we noticed that.
I did the same thing.
Wait.
I was commentating like, oh, Jet's about to go. No, wait. Why isn't he going into Turtle? And finally, sharper than both of us.
I had Kane and I had Quake, so I'm like, yeah, I could totally do this. Oh no, you need Hammer, of course. So, I felt like that the seed wanted you to go there. I had 3 Turtle Rock small keys. I had the Turtle Rock big key. I had Ice Rod. I had Fire Rod. I was ready to go after Meyer because that would have been the best location for me to get a bunch of stuff. It's just Bo happened to be in Mire, and then I was just go mode.
So, just to interrupt for a quick second, it looks like we have Truzzl doing the blind fight, and Yoshi just getting their Mire crystal. They are very close in their race. So, I think Yoshi has the Desert Palace done as well.
It doesn't look like it. Yoshi's looking at his tracker. He doesn't have the big key for Desert Palace, which would have stopped him from clearing out the back.
Oh, that's true. Oh, because they haven't been to Ice, I guess.
Is that was where the Desert Palace big key was? You're right, the freezer room in Ice Palace. So Ice Palace was not entirely a bust, just almost entirely a bust.
I thought Ice didn't have anything. I remember double dipping, and it just didn't. I felt like it wasn't worth, but maybe I got a key and I didn't realize it.
I think that was where the Desert Palace big key was. Our wonderful trackers in chat are confirming that for us.
Oh, okay.
By the way, to Draco Falcone and Fantalis for doing a wonderful job tracking this match tonight, keeping all that HUD updated so that we could keep track of things like Yoshi still needs to get that Desert Big Key, which fortunately he's on his way to do right now.
Yeah, I actually forgot where I got Desert Big Key. So my single dip, my first dip of Ice Palace was actually worth. It was just coming back and beating it, which was not worth.
Right.
But that wasn't that long. When you go back and you just have to get the right hand side and the boss, it doesn't take that long.
Absolutely. As we are, getting closer and closer to the end. Not there yet. As we get closer, please keep in mind, if you liked what you saw from these runners, please give them a follow. They are doing a great job, and I'm sure they look forward to entertaining you in the future.
Yeah, they're cool people. So at this point, to finish out the game, EpikRainjer, I'm not sure what he's running around for at this point. He, oh.
Is he missing some pod keys?
The pod big key from Agenia's Cave in the desert area.
Oh, he didn't go there.
Did not pick that up. It was interesting to see the parallels tonight. Our two runners in the top race picked that up fairly early in the seed, and you, of course, didn't pick it up until, I think, after Mire on your way out. Or maybe just before Mire. Either way, it was quite late in the seed for you, and only then did it really come in handy.
In the back of my mind, I was wondering the whole time, especially before I went to pod, I'm like, Agena is just sitting there. It's been open since the beginning of the game. What if Hammer was there at the time? And I didn't have to do, kill Aghanim. And I just never had a great chance to route it. I never had a reason to go to desert. I never had Buck. And then once I had Flute, then okay, let's just go do everything at once. And it just ended up really working out because it's like, here's the pod making. Although I was worried, again, there's 3 chests I could have gotten in pod where Bo could have been behind that I skipped.
Yeah, there was. I mean, you had so much left to check, right?
Yeah, a lot of dungeon stuff for the most part. Turtle Rock would have been my first choice, though. And then maybe I would have found my way back to pod just because there was 3 things I could have gotten in there.
I wonder, so, unless I'm mistaken, that EpikRainjer with all 3 pendants? I don't know if they went back and killed Cold Stare.
EpikRainjer actually just mirrored out after getting the reward from Eastern and seeing it was a pendant. He said, hey, I don't want to sit through this cutscene.
I know sometimes it's knowledge, especially when you're in a race with a lot of people. It can sort of be some knowledge how early someone finishes, because that could be an indication whether it's a since I finished sub 2, that it's probably not a pedestal seed.
Yeah, that's usually a good bit of insight. EpikRainjer is now going to check the Pyramid Fairy, which, although it doesn't pay off, I think was a really smart play to make at the time. It did seem like where the seed was pointing you. Meanwhile, on the top race, Truzzl has picked up his 7th crystal and is headed over to Ganon's tower. So good on him with that. He's going to be able to make that climb immediately. And Yoshi has that desert big key, has the Thieves Town big key.
I know when it comes down to just one location, it can be hard to backtrack. If something was in that Thieves' big chest, it was going to be forever before I went back there. It's just way too out of the way.
Yeah, that's a rough one to find late after you've done everything. But yeah, what Ranger's going through. And again, it's one of those, like, they miss. Truzzl starting the gauntlet. Well, Yoshi works on Landmo. Silver arrows is a nice thing to have.
So that'll be, I think, 5 crystals for Yoshi. At this point, as we said, he's got go mode. He can go straight to the boss of Thieves Town, straight to the boss of Pod. But look, a bit easier for him than it was for Jet, but that'll only just keep him running further ahead in his race.
Props to Ranger though. It's always a little tough when you see your opponent done to be able to find the motivation to finish.
Yeah, he's at this point going back to fight Cold Stare, which I can't remember if he tried and didn't succeed at before, or just never made it that far down. Either way, a reasonable spot to go checking for that final big key. Hopefully he realizes soon that he hasn't beat Agana.
I think we're going to get a pedestal check first, to be honest. Normally we like seeing them, and I'm curious. Maybe that has the book. That would be...
It could have the book. At this point, I would not be surprised in the slightest if it ended up being another sword.
Another sword. It could very well be, some of those medallions you don't need either.
So I'm gonna get going. I actually skipped dinner to do the race. Of course, thanks our streamer.
Yeah, thanks to Willard Heck. Willard can get some love and some credit for his work tonight.
Yes, well done, Willard J. Bradley.
All right, thank you, Jet, and we'll see you again next week for round 4.
Yep, have a good one.
Well done. GG.
GG's.
Okay, so we've got Ranger finishing up here. Finishing up Ice Palace. Possibly checking Pedestal. They got their first Fisher-Price Toy Shield.
Told us there was a swirly coin on the pedestal, so that means bombos, which did not come in handy for anything tonight. What a rip.
Not at all.
Alright, so EpikRainjer going to take on Gold Steer here with Master Sword and Fire Rod and Half Magic. This fight should not be a problem in the slightest for him. Especially, it looks like he's going to switch over to Hammer for some extra damage output. But Truzzl has beaten Aghanim 2, has cleared Ganon's tower, and is going to be headed over to that final fight of the night for him.
Meanwhile, Yoshi is getting their final crystal. Oh, no, they still have Thieves Town, unless I'm mistaken.
That's right, Yoshi's going to have to go and clear Thieves Town. So he's on his way, again, still in go mode, but not going to be able to hold up against Truzzl here, who's made it all the way to Ganon.
Ganon with Tempered Sword, too. Very different fight than what Jet had.
That's right, that one extra damage class on Tempered Sword makes the whole fight, well, certainly easier, but also in some ways just bearable. You don't have to get in there for a spin every single hit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the most dangerous part. Very close to hugs all the time.
And Yoshi definitely knows he's in go mode at this point, headed back to Thieves Town. EpikRainjer rechecking spots at this point, still maybe not entirely sure where he can look. Looks like he's going to use that shovel to dig up something here, but I think it was just an unnecessary small key. Skull Woods, yeah, I'd call that one unnecessary.
They must miss it. You know, checked it off in their mind.
That's entirely possible. Epic, I need you to go to the desert area, please. Please. Meanwhile, Truzzl, that's one hit on Ganon, misses the torch glitch, but hey, when you got Fire Rod and Half Magic, that's not a problem. He just needs 3 more arrows on Ganon, he'll be able to clear this up.
Almost getting the double there, too. We have our dot done from Truzzl.
Well,
So Truzzl with an official SRL time of 2:09:51.
Well, good work from him. That puts him, I think, at a record of 2-1 throughout this tournament. So, still in this tournament if he can win the next 2 weeks and move on to that title.
Exactly.
Tournament races a Keysanity, and
All right. And joining us in chat is Truzzl. GG, Truzzl.
Hey, thanks.
I guess.
And GG
Am I
on
coming
that.
through, or?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I have one very important question for you. Sword. And the
Sorry, yeah,
reason
you
I
cut
asked,
out for a minute there.
yeah, Discord's giving us some issues tonight. The question is, where did you get that Master Sword? Because no one else, no one watching this saw where you picked it up.
I got that from the big chest and pod.
Ah.
Yeah, I guess we didn't see anyone go there after finding the big key.
That makes a lot of sense. Both you and Yoshi picked up that pod big key early on, and so you had it the first time you went to pod. EpikRainjer and Jet didn't collect that pod big key until very, very recently. In EpikRainjer's case, about 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I was hoping that was going to be an advantage, because I figured... Where was the big key for pod? I want to say it was in desert?
Yes, in Agana's cave.
Yeah, just outside desert.
Yeah, I figured, like, yeah, I didn't think of checking, running and doing Aghanim until...
I think we lost you there. Discord voice, again, not entirely running things correctly.
yeah, I didn't hear anything. But yeah, I just figured that not a lot of people were going to have that key going into pod.
Yeah, it was interesting that you and your opponent had it, and the other race didn't have it at all. But that certainly clears up our confusion of where was that other sword. So you put off your Aga Tower play for quite a while. Did you know it was an inevitability?
Or key. I didn't realize I had it until after I checked Agina's cave, and like there was nowhere else for me to go.
Oh. Well, it worked out in the end, fortunately.
Yeah, that seeing the Master Sword there was kind of like, well, could have been a lot worse.
It's true. You were definitely the first one to have that second sword.
Bear with us, folks. Discord giving us some issues, but still, I think, on that second level of sword.
Yeah, at this point, Ranger's in go mode. Or, I believe they are. I guess they're going to just check things, because why not at this point, right?
At this point, why not check a couple more chests? And hey, if he goes to the big chest here, that's a tempered sword, which probably pays for itself in time at this point.
Absolutely.
Yoshi taking a few hits in that ice room. But of course, powder being the best safety, as I said earlier, because it keeps you alive no matter what happens. As long as there's an enemy, you can powder around. EpikRainjer, it looks like. Oh, hang on. Now that's unfortunate for EpikRainjer. Yes, EpikRainjer. He is missing the Ganon's Tower big key as well.
Ooh, they never did Spiral Cave.
Yeah, hopefully he can recall that's what he's missing and he can make the play to there right now, because I think that's one of his only locations left. It looks like he might be going that way, or he might just be going straight to check Ganon's Tower.
That's 2 major items in 2 months. Spiral Cave. It sucks until it doesn't.
Well, EpikRainjer's in the Dark World. Hopefully, as he goes by the Spiral Cave area in the Dark World, he'll remember he hasn't checked that. He'll give us the mirror out, and he'll be able to pick up his big key for Ganon's Tower. Meanwhile, Yoshi's taken down Moldorm 2 there. Opens that chest, but we don't even get to see what's in it due to wonderful technical stuff tonight. EpikRainjer looks like it's headed straight into Ganon's Tower. Hopefully, he can clear out the basement early, but more excitingly, maybe we'll get to see some of those things we haven't seen from the other runners. Maybe some red mail, some more shields, some books, maybe even a butter sword.
You know, after this seed, it would be nice to just be able to have something as smooth as butter.
Something's got to go smoothly.
So Truzzl, if you were still here.
Yeah.
What are your overall thoughts of the seed? I know there were a couple ups and downs, but
I was pretty convinced that it was pushing me towards Ice Palace, but there was a lot of stuff you could get just in the overworld once you got Mirror. I mean, both Hookshot and Hammer were pretty much right there for the taking. That would have saved you a lot of time.
absolutely. Hopefully it's comforting to know that approximately everyone did the early Ice Palace check, except Yoshi, I think, without the hammer. So no one else, everyone had that same, oh, really? Moment.
Yeah.
And of course, Desert Big Key was in there. It was required. It just didn't feel like it was the right play. And I think you were the only runner who didn't go back to clear out Cold Stare.
Yeah, when I cleared up everything and it came down to Pod and Ice Palace, and I figured I had so many keys for Pod that I just decided to give that a shot.
Well, pod certainly held all the value tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, that's true. Swamp was a good time.
And with 4 arrows to Ganon, Yoshi has finished this seed. So congratulations to him as well. Or I should say GG to him. Felix, what was his time?
Yoshi's official SRL time was 2:21:38. No, 30. Sorry, 30.
That's right. Credit him back those 8 seconds. Those are, in fact, important. But GG to Yoshi, and EpikRainjer still clearing out the basement of Ganon's tower, looking for that big key. My hope, again, is that he clears out these chests and then realizes he hasn't done Spiral Cave. I think we are joined by Yoshi348.
Hello, I'm here.
Hey Yoshi, GG.
Yeah, it went all right. I really just kind of was all over the place in the early and mid game. It wasn't until the end of the game that I finally got on track as far as everything, like routing, combat. Did pretty well, but
Yeah, it was certainly one of those seeds where you had a whole bunch of stuff at the beginning. You had this wide range to check, and then it just hit a brick wall. And then you had to get through that wall, and then you were open to do a whole bunch of stuff until you hit that next wall. There were several of those hard barriers. But, you persevered. Well done.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, I see a wide range of time.
I think we lost you there for a second, but I heard you say a wide range of times, and this, depending on how many kind of red herrings you got sent on this dungeon, or this seed rather, took a very different amount of time. What with Cold Stare being a trap, but that first visit to ice being useful. I think 3 of our runners played into T-Rock to some degree.
Yeah.
And with some of those other things hiding, particularly that pod big key eluded 2 of our runners for a while. This was a seed about how many red herrings did you follow?
We did get a final confirmation on what was on the pedestal.
Oh, what was it?
Was?
Bombos and Ether were both in the right side of Ganon's tower, so it was just regular old bombs.
And EpikRainjer checking Spike Cave, showing us that it's just 20 rupees. EpikRainjer, you have my deepest sympathies. Please, Spiral Cave. I believe in you.
We have a forfeit from EpikRainjer.
Oh, I'm sorry to see that.
Well, if you forget one place, it can be really hard to figure out which one you forgot.
All right, EpikRainjer is going to join us for a few minutes to talk about that. And we have here EpikRainjer. My sympathies, EpikRainjer.
on with that. I missed something somewhere. I just don't remember what it is.
And you're okay with getting the answer here?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Spiral Cave had the Ganon's Tower big key.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that's right.
I don't know. I felt like I was behind the entire race because of the damn Mothula fight.
Yeah, that certainly slowed you down a fair amount. I admired your ability to stick with that fight, but it was not a nice one.
No, I just felt like he wouldn't get out of the corner. It was. I almost started laughing.
No, he definitely stuck up there in more than one of your fights until that final fight where he just kept running south, and you were able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, but it was still fun. Good game, Jet. It was awesome.
Unfortunately, Jet has gone out already. I think he had to go grab some food, but we can certainly pass that along to him.
It was a tough seed. There was no like easy route through any of it.
I felt like it was kind of an okay seed. I just did everything completely backwards, and none of it worked out for me.
That's the the give and take of rando. One day you will do approximately exactly the same thing, and you will finish faster than you've ever finished. Right? Like it's tough.
Oh yeah, that's just how it is though. But I still had fun. I did have a lot of fun doing this though.
Glad to hear that.
From Epic or any of the other runners still here, Yoshi and Truzzl, any final comments on the seed tonight?
Sometimes you just go the wrong way. That's all there is to it sometimes.
And sometimes that's the whole seed.
Well said. Epic, any final thoughts?
Not really, but good game, Truzzle. Good game, Yoshi. You guys did awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks again to these runners for competing tonight, putting themselves on display.